And welcome to the Authority of Love. I'm Greg Williams, your host, and I'm joined today again with our co-host David Walls, Executive Director of the Family Foundation here in Kentucky for Family Foundation Friday. Thanks, David, and for joining us again.
Good to be with you.
I appreciate that, man.
Another cold day.
Yeah. It's actually warm. I was going to take my wife, see if we want to lay out on the deck this afternoon, but 2022 is not quite there yet. But it is a lot warmer than one.
Yes.
Yeah. And you do notice that. But anyway, Kentucky weather, you don't like it, stick around for a little while. It'll change. It's probably going to in the next few hours. So anyway, be careful out there. We do want you to be careful. Don't take any unnecessary risks, and keep you and your family safe. David, again, let's mention we're in the long session of the General Assembly here in Kentucky in an even year, 2024, which means it goes till April 15th. So we're really just getting started.
Yeah.
But there are some really good bills coming up.
Yeah, a lot's happening. You know, we're I believe in the third week now of the 60-day long session. You know, this, as we've said before, Greg, this is a budget year. In fact, the House I believe released its budget proposal on the budget. Obviously, that is going to be a big topic of debate and conversation moving forward. A lot of activity, but you know, one of the issues that you and I have talked a lot about that's going to be a big issue this session is the issue of educational freedom and the issue of school choice. You know, Greg, Kentucky is frankly well behind the pretty much every surrounding state. I believe there's 30 states, Greg, throughout the United States in some form or fashion have a school choice program. Kentucky is unique in the region that we're the only ones that don't have a school choice program. And one of the reasons why we need to build significant momentum on this is because, you know, the General Assembly did pass an initial school choice program a couple years ago, educational opportunity accounts, a very limited program. But that program was actually struck down in a really poor decision by the Kentucky Supreme Court. So it's really set the stage for the necessity for a constitutional amendment that would open the door for educational freedom and school choice opportunities in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And so that issue continues to get a lot of conversation, a lot of momentum building on that. Our good friend Representative Josh Callaway has filed a version of an amendment, House Bill 208 on that. And I had the opportunity, Greg, earlier this week to sit down with him and just kind of talk through this issue a little bit. You know, and so many others, not just him, but he's been really a champion of this issue in the legislature. And so what does that mean? In terms of a constitutional amendment, just to remind folks kind of how the legislative process works. So it would require a constitutional majority in both chambers to pass. So that would be 60 members in the House. That would be 23 members in the Kentucky Senate. And if they were to get those numbers on a school choice constitutional amendment, then it would be set for a vote this coming November, and it would be on the ballot. But look, at the end of the day, Greg, parents know best. Parents are uniquely, we would say, ordained David. By God to know best for their kids. And education works best when parents and families are empowered and given as many options. And really, this debate as we move forward, this is not a debate about, sometimes you hear a debate against one form of education versus public schools. This is a debate about let's put all the options on the table. We've got to have a strong public school system, and we've also got to recognize that there are so many opportunities to open avenues for parents for other ways to meet the needs of their kids, and that's really what this debate is about. So I encourage folks to go to our Facebook page or our website. We'll be posting the interview that we did with Representative Josh Callaway. It's a short interview, but it goes into some depth about the process and why this is such an important time.
And I'll get that and link that on. We'll link it on both of our when we share this video and this podcast. We'll link that as well, so people can see that as well.
And Greg, as you know, as we do on this program, look, we want to equip people to be salt and light and to be engaged with their government. And so right now, I really encourage folks to be reaching out to their legislators just to encourage them to be supportive of school choice this session, and specifically a school choice amendment. And
Good
we've got
call.
if you go to our website at KentuckyFamily.org, folks can click on a link and send a message that directly to their House and Senate member on this issue.
Does it go to leaders? Oftentimes you all do that as well. Does it go to the leaders?
Yeah.
in
Right
the House
now,
and Senate,
right
or is it-
now we're focusing on, as we're kind of early in the session.
Okay.
We're focusing on just contact your
Let it be
legislator.
known.
There
Okay,
may be other
gotcha.
opportunities, but look, this is an issue. I mean, I know. Our governor has been very opposed to any effort to offer educational freedom. But when you're thinking about the Republican leadership in both chambers, this has been an issue that has been talked about by leaders in both chambers. For well over a year. There's strong support for this in the General Assembly, I believe.
Well, and that's what I was going to
Yeah.
ask you. Do you feel like with the constitutional passage required, 60 in the House, 23 in the Senate, do you feel like we're there?
So I will say I think we can get there, but
Okay, we're
it's
close.
going to be important for
Right.
folks to be in contact.
Yes,
The
yes.
votes on that other school choice program that I mentioned,
Yep.
very, very close votes.
Yeah.
So this is certainly going to be one. When you've got that higher threshold, not just a simple majority.
Even in a super majority, House and Senate. Yeah.
It's every vote, every person that can communicate to their legislators is important.
Yeah, and here's the interesting thing, David. As you're sitting here talking
Yeah.
about this and the scheme or the plot or the plan that the other side is using, you often hear them say, "You're taking money from our kids,
Right.
Kentucky kids." No, we're just giving more opportunities within that money. That's all we're doing. They used to say the same thing when we did risk avoidance. Sexual risk avoidance programs, and they would go, "No, you can't take that money," and then they would never want them side by side or debate them because they knew that wherever school choice has gone, children have benefited.
Children have
Education has gotten better. Test scores have risen.
Yeah.
All of those things
In
are
the public schools as well.
Exactly.
I mean, it's been a
Yeah,
win-win.
because they have
Right.
a rising tide
Yeah.
raises all ships.
And to be clear, too, Greg, this proposed amendment would not prescribe any particular program. It would just open up the door and make it clear
choice.
that there could be an opportunity for the General Assembly to have a truly a program that promotes school choice and gives educational opportunities in a variety of formats.
Yes.
It would not, if this passed in November, then the General Assembly would still have to come back and go through the process and debate what a particular program might look like.
Right.
So certainly that will be one of the tactics that we'll see is saying, well, this is going to specifically happen based on a program in X state or whatever.
Yeah.
This proposed amendment is not about putting a specific program. It's about the big picture.
It's opening
and
the door,
opportunity.
right?
Yeah.
Opening the
Yeah.
door for choice and opportunity
Right.
that helps kids, that puts it back in the hands of parents, as you mentioned. And that's what we really want to do as we talk about the biblical worldview. That's where God started it.
Right.
He didn't start a school and say, "Now let all the teachers teach your children." He said he went to parents.
Right.
Yeah, and he said, you train them up. And so we've got to do that. Other bills, I know we've got some, and one I mentioned to you earlier was one, and I don't know the name of it for sure, but I know you told me it's HB 243. I call it healthcare and pregnancy. I know that's the main part of it. Talk just a little bit about that. We can go into it more as it becomes
There's
more
a number
obvious.
of bills, some bills that have already been filed. I know some other members, and a lot of committed pro-life members that are looking at how we can move the ball forward to come alongside pregnant mothers and to help children and families. But the one that you mentioned, Greg, has been very notable because there's been a lot of some media attention on it.
Imagine
that bill, House Bill 243, would actually open the door for expecting moms to collect child support, and it would
While they're pregnant,
starting at the moment of conception.
Yeah.
And so, but what's most interesting on that topic has been how the pro-abortion lobby has just
ACLU
flipped out
Yeah,
over this
yeah.
because anything that recognizes the humanity of the unborn child in the womb is a no-go for them.
Right.
Whether we're talking about, when the balance is, could we help moms? But to do so, we'd have to recognize the unborn child. Absolutely not. We don't want to help moms. We can't let the unborn child be recognized for a second.
Yeah.
And I think that's a pretty revealing thing. But look, at the end of the day, there's a lot of areas in the law as we move forward where we need to bring parity to the law, equal protection under the law to ensure that unborn children are recognized as the human beings they are.
Yeah.
So I'm encouraged by some of the activity
Yeah.
that we're seeing on that issue.
That's excellent. Be praying for all of
Yeah.
these. Again, that's healthcare and pregnancy. That's the constitutional amendment for school choice. And then another one that I thought was fascinating, and I loved it. We should have it already. I hope we get it this time. Is HB 241, age verification for pornographic sites. This is a rhetorical question because we know who would, but who would vote against that?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want kids protected from
Yeah.
this stuff? This is what we fought against in the abstinence until marriage healthy risk avoidance programs, where that they kept saying we're there for kids, but then they would expose them to all this stuff that was dangerous personally and
Yeah.
relationally.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, Greg, as you know, look, there's so much that needs to be done on this issue.
Yes.
In our churches, in our homes.
Yes.
But this is just one way. There's been a number of states that have made momentum by passing laws that require age verification on pornographic sites for children. So Kentucky needs to catch up
Yeah.
with some of the other states. This is Representative Shane Baker, who's been such a strong
Yes.
pro-family champion, has filed this bill. And so I hope as the session moves along that this bill will pick up momentum as well.
Again, that's HB 241, age verification for pornographic sites. Please be praying for that one. And then we mentioned one last week, David. We don't think it's going to get anywhere. Senate Bill 99. It was kind of starting the ball rolling with exceptions on abortion on the other side of the aisle, so to speak, as far as liberal or conservative. And nothing's happened on that. So we're going to pray that it dies.
Yeah.
But you said something else.
So that unborn children remain
exactly
protected.
right. And we don't
Yeah.
want anybody else on either side of the aisle to file these bills, right?
Yeah.
Because the exceptions are just that. They're just a starting point.
Right. And as you and I talked, and I mentioned last week, but our Michael Johnson, our policy director, he broke down with so many issues.
54
with this
pages
bill.
or something like that? Yeah.
And so we're going to continue to stand strong for life. And as we've been saying, folks can also on our Action website send a positive, encouraging message to their member to stand consistent and true on the issue of life.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's the opposite side of it.
Yeah.
Iowa had their primaries this week. Their primary this week, and they're underway. So here we go.
Hard to
right?
believe we're in the presidential primary season. But Iowa made its choice pretty clear in the Republican primary. But look, we reminded our folks in one of our Let Us Pray devotionals this week. Just another reminder. We need to be praying.
Yes.
We need to be praying for wisdom and discernment for all of us as the primary process begins to play out. Electing president, obviously, and all of our elected leaders, and look forward to sharing more voter guide resources and so forth when Kentucky gets its chance, kind of later in the process.
Yes.
Certainly an important opportunity to be praying for our elected leaders and that we choose wisely in 2024.
Let's do that. Please be praying for that as well. And then we also have a big event coming up next Tuesday that both you and I are going to be somewhat involved in, and that is the Kentucky March for Life. Love to have you come out. It's next Tuesday, January 23rd. There's several things. You can go to where's the site there, David?
KentuckyMarchForLife.org. There's something for everyone at this event. There's a number of different things happening. Big part of it is at noon, essentially at the Capitol, but there's the marches and some of the other things take place before that.
Yeah.
Join us as we stand for life at the
Yes,
Kentucky
please
Capitol.
do. Love to see tens of thousands flooding the Capitol area. Also, have that in prayer because the weather is starting to shape up for that. So thank you for joining us. Thanks for your prayers. Thanks always to the Lord. Make it a great day, and God bless in Christ. I'm Greg Williams, and you're listening to The Authority of Love.